Welcome back to another Talking Technical show, and it is so nice because we get during the week we get some nice requests, and I've made a list of the ones that we can maybe do today. We've got more, but I'm going to see if I can get the first ones out because some of them are giving beautiful buying signals, others are warning, but I would like to show you a few. The first one that I want to show you is African rainbow minerals. The big one is the viewer asked, he said, listen, Frans, I love the stock, but I'm a little bit nervous because I'm keeping the stock for quite a while now. Now, let's just have a look at this share. First of all, this stock had one beautiful rally. I mean, can you believe it? In December, the stock was at around 120, and now it is at 176. I mean, that's in a matter of 3 months, and unbelievable rally. Now, the first thing that worries me is that we're close to this resistance level, around that level, and I'm going to give it specifically 174 now. Yesterday we closed at 176, so it looks like there's another move to the top. The only thing that worries me is sometimes the moment you get to this level of 174, within a day or two you can see some resistance. We can see a few days ago there was also resistance around there, but the big thing is if it stays above this 174 level, and I want to show the viewer just the resistance line. Now this resistance line made me nervous in the beginning, but now it's in a support. There you are, you can see it changed into support. But the viewer wants to add onto the position. He bought it around, I think he said in December, but it doesn't matter when, but he wants to add onto the position. Now think about logic. If the stock rallies from 120 to 176 in a matter of 3 months, you should probably expect a sort of a pullback. So I know there's a big belief that the moment the stock makes a new high, you just add to the position and you just buy more. I'm always just put a little bit of logic into that. And I say to myself, if the stock rallied from 120 to 170 in a matter of 3 months, maybe it's time, if you want to buy, wait for the stock to give a pullback. Like a few days ago, it gave a beautiful pullback from about 174 to 150. And then when it turned around, yes, then you can buy. Now, the big thing is, if you have a decision like that, make use of a support line. Now, there's the support line. This support line also entails that the trend is up. This is a beautiful line to tell you that the trend is healthy to the top. Now, if the stock pulls back, it can pull back all the way to about 161.10. And then from there, move up a little bit higher again. So if you want to add onto the position, I will look at this area instead of just buying there, because you can maybe buy there and it can pull back. And I just want to see, let's just have a look at the indicator here. And let's have a look at the stochastic. And the stochastic will quickly tell us if the stock is overbought or oversold. And there you are. There you can see it clearly. The stock is in overbought territory. The previous one, it actually ignored it. Look what it did. It was overbought, but it just rallied higher. The same thing there. It gave a brief pullback and then higher. So maybe this one can maybe trigger a little bit of more of a pullback. But the viewer wants to add to the position. I'll be nervous to add here right at the top because there's also something else that I'm picking up here. I'm picking up that we can maybe sit on a possible double top. Now that's early days. First thing, the first warning signal will be when this little line there, and I want to show you that's the low of those candles. If this little line turns into a resistance, and that will be below 170, that will be my first warning signal that something is maybe on the boil and the stock wants to come back. But, of course, we know that the double top will only be confirmed if the low of that candle gets taken out. And that low is at 151.81. And if the stock then really comes under pressure, it can maybe pull back all the way to this support if you extend the top to the support line from the line all the way down. So I'm a little bit nervous to buy African rainbow minerals at the moment. It had a beautiful rally, but of course, some viewers will say, no, Frans, we're chasing the momentum. So use then 170 Rand as your stop loss, and maybe it can surprise you even all the way to this 200 Rand level. But I mean, the stock had a beautiful rally. Well, let's have a look at another company. And of course, there was a viewer that said, listen, Frans, what about Kuro? He's looking at Kuro, he wants to buy it. And what do we see here? We see that the stock was under pressure. It was as high as 34 Rand the other day. And now here's the typical example. We just explained to the double top there. There was a classic double top, and it broke there and it played out to the bottom. Now even here, there's a double bottom and it rallied beautifully. I think if you want to look at Kuro at the moment, let's just have a look at the candles. Because remember, the candles is nothing else than the emotion of the share. Now let's have a look at. There's the resistance line. I just want to draw that in. That was the trend line that tell you that the trend is down. And suddenly, what do we see? From this 20 Rand 50 level, there was a beautiful hammer telling you that somebody is hitting out the lows and somebody wants to buy. And since then, the stock moved neither. And even yesterday, what I like about it, the stock came back, tested this support line, and this support line waits at 22 Rand 14. And from there, it jumped beautifully up. I like this chart. This chart. This tells you that there's maybe some buyers around. And instead of looking at African Rainbow Minerals right at the end after a beautiful rally to add on to a position or maybe to buy, you may be too late. But I mean, if you look at Kuro now, it looks like a beautiful turnaround story. And where's my stop loss? My stop loss will be the low of this candle. And that will be at, there you are, there's the level, 24 Rand and 22 Rand and 11 cents. 22 Rand 11 is my stop loss, and my targets to the top will be 24.45, 24.96, even 25.83. But I mean, it looks like this is a nice turnaround story after an ugly sell-off. Next one that we want to look at is PPC. Now, PPC is one of those stocks that that's really struggling to find its feet, but at least it's building on a base now. Now, can you believe it? I mean, PPC was once a stock of well over 10 Rand, and now it's at around 4.75 Rand. Now, if I look at this chart, the momentum you can see is clearly to the downside. It starts here on the left top end, and it goes all the way down, and it's now almost here, almost you can say testing some new lows. So let's have a look here. Now, if I look at PPC here, I will say there is a consolidation, but let's just see where you can maybe look at maybe nibbling on the stock. Let's have a look. There's the resistance line. Now this resistance line is still a resistance. It's not a support. But if I combine these lines, then I see a falling wedge here. There you are. There's a falling wedge. Now a falling wedge usually gives you a beautiful trigger, and it gives you a beautiful relief rally. But what's the rule? The rule is, and I mentioned it so many times on the program before, the rule is that this resistance line must turn into a support. And that will only turn into a support at 4.82 Rand. Above 4.82 Rand, yes, you can maybe look at nibbling on the stock. Where's my stop loss? My stop loss is at 4.30 Rand. And where's my target? If it plays out to the top, it can maybe take you all the way up to 5.44 Rand. But I want to stand still here a little bit, and I want to show you what happened to PPC before. And this is just to show you once again how these South African stocks have been murdered. I mean, in actual fact, I think some of them are so low. I've also said it before on the program that I believe whenever a bear market will come, we'll probably see that the South African stocks will surprise to the top because they've been in bear market territory for such a long time. Now look at this. Can you believe it? 52 Rand share in 2008 and a 4.75 Rand share at the moment. That just tells you that the momentum is clearly to the downside. And I mean, if they just do something, you can almost say tiny right at this company. You know, I always make the joke about it. They can maybe just sell one bag of cement and then the stock will go up. But let's have a look at the 40-week moving average. I just want to show you that this stock is under such a pressure, and I mean it's for such a while now, and this is still a 40-week moving average. Now remember, this is a weekly chart, and there you are. You can see it had a brief moment above it, and it's still, that momentum remains to the downside. In actual fact, I think if you want to nibble at PPC, the level that I gave now 480, around 481, then maybe if you buy it, you must actually say to yourself, I'm going to sit on the stock. In actual fact, there's a lot of South African companies, let's call it South African companies, South Africa incorporated companies, that's been under pressure for such a long time that if you look at those companies and if you start to nibble when they start giving you some technical buying signals, maybe it won't be such a bad idea, but there's something important about it. If you do that, you must know that you can maybe wait quite a few years to wait for that stock to really get alive. And if you know your technicals, you'll probably see quite a few moves to the top. Like here, I mean, you will get plenty periods where you can add to the position when it goes up, like it was between 2002 and 2008. Now, every time that it makes a new high there, after such a low base, you can always add onto the position, or you can use a support line. But what it tells you is when a stock is under such immense pressure, it can maybe take quite a while. I mean, if I just move around, look what happened in 1998 to 2002. It worked on a base for almost 4 years before it started to go. So don't think that these South African companies, that if you buy them now, they're going to give you a quick return on your money. It can maybe take a year or 2 years to really start going. But what I do say, when you've got a share price like this, and the company does not go under, because we've seen now so many companies that actually have a knock in the share price, and then they struggle and they maintain and they remain under pressure. It just tells you that yes, if you hold on and the company comes right and they turn the business into a positive, you can maybe have a brilliant investment. But for me, PPC, listen, it is early days, especially on this 40-week chart, but I mean this weekly chart. But if you want to nibble above that level, just stick to your stop loss, because what can happen, it can go lower. And if you don't take a stop loss, buy in such few quantities that it cannot hurt you. So PPC at the moment, nervous stock like many other South African companies.